Okay, so I just want to show everybody that the cars that were burnt in the neighborhood are still here. So they haven't been removed yet. It'd be nice to see those taken out. And of course, here's another one of the townhome buildings that was destroyed by the fire. Still not a lot of progress there. So while we are making progress in some ways, there's still a ton of work to do before the neighborhood is back to what it once was. Hey, aloha everyone. So I'm back at our house in Lahaina. If you missed the first video I did a tour of our neighborhood called Kahoma Village, which is right in the center of Lahaina town and was basically untouched by the fire except for a few buildings and a few cars. But since I'm here, I figured I would do a quick video to show you what the neighborhood looks like now about 3 months after the fire. Let's see what kind of progress we've made. Okay, so here we are at my house in Lahaina town. This is a neighborhood called Kahoma Village. And we're making some good progress here. You can see that the power has been turned back on. I also just turned on the water main. So we were without power and water for quite a while. And it's nice to see that both of those are turned back on. I'm just going to test the water spigot here, make sure it's flowing. That looks good. So that's the good news. Water and power have been returned, but bad news is we did receive notice from the county that the water is not drinkable. So don't drink it, don't boil it. It's probably not a good idea to take showers in it or wash dishes in it. So while we've come a long ways, still not a livable place thanks to all the toxic fumes and toxic water. So this is exactly how we left our house as we were running away from the fire. So it's kind of an eerie feeling to walk in here. You can definitely smell the smoke inside the house. And I'm not going to do a full tour. There's not a whole lot to see, but I'll show you the backyard. And you can see, since we didn't have water for quite a while, pretty much all of our plants died. I mean, you can see just the smoke residue on the furniture. And of course, here is where the fire burnt our fence. We got damage to our fence in a number of different places. There's another spot just down in that corner that is also burnt up. So really amazing how close the fire got without really hitting our house. And the other update to Kahoma Village is you can see that there's now a construction fence or a dust fence, whatever you want to call it, that surrounds basically the entire neighborhood. And I guess that makes sense because pretty much everything on the other side of the fence is completely destroyed by the fire. Okay, so while I'm at the house, I just want to clear up one of the controversies from my first video here at the house after the fire. So when I was first walking around the house, I noticed that the cover plate for this garage door opener was missing. You can see that the neighbor actually has the cover plate still on theirs. So it was a plastic cover plate. I know a lot of people were asking what kind of material it was. And at the same time, there was this chunk of charred material that was right below, roughly the same size as the cover plate, but after further investigation, it looks like this is just a random piece of charred wood that happened to fall right in the right spot to make it look like it was the cover plate for my garage door opener. Okay, so I'm just going to walk around the neighborhood a little bit to show what has changed in 3 months after the fire here at Kahoma Village. You can see that they have the orange cones and some sort of filter surrounding all the storm drains. So just trying to protect things from going in the storm drains. I'm sure like all the toxic ash and stuff would not be ideal going into these storm drains. Other than that, there's more activity, there's more people around that are working on cleaning up their house, but you can see that the townhouses that were burnt are still basically in the same shape, same condition. More townhouses burnt in that direction. So not a whole lot of progress as far as the actual cleanup of the buildings that were completely destroyed. Not yet anyways. Okay, so here's that same building that we were looking at before, the townhouse building that was burnt. And just want to show you real quick that, we have some equipment here, some lifts. People are starting to get into the action of cleaning up. And we also have contractors that are setting up and staging in the community. That's a company called ServPro that specializes in cleaning up fire damage. Okay, so I just want to show everybody that the cars that were burnt in the neighborhood are still here. So they haven't been removed yet. It'd be nice to see those taken out. And of course, here's another one of the townhome buildings that was destroyed by the fire. Still not a lot of progress there. So while we are making progress in some ways, there's still a ton of work to do before the neighborhood is back to what it once was. So the other thing I'm noticing here is a lot of people have taken their refrigerators and freezers and looks like they're just gonna toss them out. As you can imagine, with no power for a long time and just having to leave your house with all the food in it still, those freezers and those refrigerators, they got pretty nasty inside. So it's good to see people are just removing them and starting fresh. Okay, so I had mentioned previously that the tap water is not drinkable, but you can see that they did set up the neighborhood with a potable water tank for anybody that needs drinking water in the neighborhood. I don't know if there's anybody living in the neighborhood right now, but for people that are here cleaning up and contractors like ServPro, it's definitely nice to have access to clean water right here. Okay, so I had mentioned before that most of the neighborhood is now surrounded by these dust fences. You can see the start of it right here. This is one of the entrances to Kahoma Village. And I'll also point out that we do have a checkpoint. So we have the National Guard set up right in front of the neighborhood, making sure that only people that live here can come in. So really appreciate those guys keeping the neighborhood safe for us. Okay, while I'm here, might as well show you what it looks like across the street. And this is my house. And the dust fence set up all the way around. I've had a few people ask me why our house isn't considered livable outside of just the non-drinkable water, but well, basically it's because everything around us, as you can see, is completely burnt to the ground, and there's a lot of toxic stuff that was burnt. A lot of these buildings were really old. They had asbestos and lead and all kinds of nasty things in them that get into the air and makes it so it's really not a safe environment until they get it all cleaned up. So I know they're working on it. They're working on the cleanup, the EPA is. And hopefully that wraps up soon so it's more of a suitable living environment for the people here in Kahoma Village. So as you can see, we've made some progress here in Kahoma Village with power and water being turned back on, but we definitely have a long ways to go in order to get everything cleaned up in the neighborhood. And just imagine, our neighborhood was barely touched by the fire, even though it's right in the center of town. So all these other places that, you know, had more significant damage, they're going to take a long time before it's going to be livable again. So anyways, that's it for the video, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to stay tuned on more updates from Lahaina, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and we'll keep you posted. Aloha.